afternoon we're going to move to more about the next steps of development. And this piece is on the adherence of the 4 A's. And just to remind you this morning again, this whole business of the real grounded presence and the power of presence, and all the work we're doing this morning has a lot to do with the first A, about the A of awareness. It's what it's all about. As well as, of course, a good deal about the second A, which is acceptance, and how those are interwoven. You really can't have one without the other. And then we've been working with action. But adherence is really an absolute key. And what do we mean by adherence? We mean, our commitment to something, our intention. Actually, intent is even a better word. Because my grandma used to tell me when I was a bad little boy, she lived with us, she would tell me, David, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I'd go, oh my God, that's one place I don't want to go. I didn't know what it was, but it is. So, you know that we have a positive intent from the inside, and we have an intention to carry it out, that we're committed to it. I think we were saying just yesterday or the other day that, every book that's on leadership, including the emotions in the emotions in business and successful business, the Goldman work, motivation is right there. It's right there. It's part of the personal, what does this have to do with emotional intelligence? But it does. So you find it in every book that's worth anything in the whole business world. And in the neurobiology, there's a huge, building about it, data about when there's an intention to do something, it happens. When the intention isn't there, it doesn't happen. So it's just this huge piece, and maybe the most important piece in a certain sense is, what are we committed to in terms of our own process of more wholeness and more effectiveness as a leader and as a human being. So one of the things that true intention requires is that you need to know that ultimately, we're organisms that operate according to the pleasure principle. That something in the long run must be pleasurable more than painful, because that's just the nature of organisms, mammals, of which we're one. The problem is that often when we first initiate a change, and I think Frank was a great example of that this morning, it's not pleasant. You feel tension instead of, the natural flow of what I used to have. And there's something about when we wake up and hear where acceptance comes in a lot again. It's not, things often get worse before they get better. When we deconstruct something, like this whole structure that's owned us, that's held us hostage. When we've been on automatic and we start to wake up and we do more about it, you have to deconstruct some stuff, and that's painful. In the Christian tradition, it's called even the step of the dark night of the senses after waking up. In my view, that's over-elaborated, but you realize the pain that happens, the anxiety inside of yourself, the insureness, you're breaking through old habit. And so it takes a whole lot of, relearning, not a whole lot, but a significant amount of relearning, and you need to have a positive vision of the future that's going to bring more enjoyment. It's like there's the saying that goes, no pain, no gain. There's also saying all pain, no gain. But it's difficult to change, and it can be somewhat distressing. All of us go through that. And many of us have a lot of effective stuff. We don't have to get rid of that. That's the fallacy of the opposite alternative. I guarantee you that everything that you do that's effective will always be there after decades of working at what it is that you are really positive about. It's never going to abandon you. But there is a period of time when any new learning, it's not easy. You keep slipping back and so forth. Now, the next thing about adherence is that in order to really do this, you have to practice. And here's where the really fortunate thing about the Enneagram comes in. It gives you all these opportunities every day because we're always having some reactivity, some issue come up. And if we're really working on it, we have great opportunities to do better and to get positive information back. You know, when we do something that's a change that matters and makes a difference and it comes from more presence, then what naturally happens as a result of that is that we get positive feedback. And we may not get it right away because every time you change a system in some way, the whole system has to change. And the rest of the system may not like it right away. So I just wanted to, you know, in this adherence piece, emphasize that all growth, change, means that there's some things that are being disassembled and it takes, you know, some time. But there's this opportunity many times every day that the most important practice is if we can practice and stop and do reflection 3, 4, half a dozen times a day for just a little time. And, you know, that's what I was calling just yesterday, I think, you know, the enlightenment on the hoof. You're just, you know, you're making life your practice. And to me, that's more important than any other single practice.